My name's Jeff. I am wound up about trust. To me, it is all about trust online. Let's go get in our little time machines. Let's go all the way back to the dawn of dot whatever. And let's stop and think about, we had Mark Andreessen on the screen there for a second. Let's think about the dream, the original dream. The dream before e-tail, before e-commerce, before online banking, before social media, before we even had things like Hotmail and Rocket Mail and all that other stuff way back in the early days thereof. Let's think of that dream. And the idea was we're going to do this internet thing and this World Wide Web thing, would later turn on to a smartphone, all those applications of it. And part of that is that we can connect people and businesses and get people to what they need to do a lot easier, but inherent in making it happen was a sense of trust. You need to know who everybody is. The people, all the users, properly representing themselves, and the sites that people go to. There had to be this inherent trust, and we really believe in that. I do personally. I'm pretty wound up about it, but at Symantec we are particularly interested in this. And when I'm presenting from that standpoint today, I'm not going to do a product pitch. I'm going to save you from that until the very end. I do want to talk about where we're coming from so that you understand that not only are we a vendor and a sponsor here, obviously, but we're also one of y'all. In my division at Symantec, a good 1/3, 1/2 of our revenue comes from our e-commerce storefront. Okay, so we get it. We're there in the trenches with you. And we also understand the necessity of establishing trust with our customers so that they can do so on behalf of their customers. Okay? There's this idea I like to call the transitive property of trust. If you want to talk more about it, we can talk about it back at our stage. Back at our booth. However, I think that trust is absolutely essential. So since we stepped into the time machine, let's actually go fast forward to about a year ago, and let's talk about how trust has been on the ropes. So 1 year ago, suddenly, this guy happened. Oh my God, this guy, Snowden! Snowden revealed that people who we trust to keep us safe were kind of violating our trust and peering into things that they shouldn't. Our privacy was in jeopardy because of a trust thing. It was a real weird bit, but oh my God, who can I trust? Can I trust the government? And what about the UK was involved too? And that was a weird event. And say what you want about Snowden, is he a whistleblower or a traitor? But that really up-leveled for everybody how fundamental trust is in our daily lives and what we expect to do when we're using our phones and our tablets and anything on the web. Okay, we're in our time machine, so let's go a little forward in time, and it just seems like forever ago, but let's go to April of this year. And this happened. Whoa, okay, oh my God, Heartbleed. Everybody in the ecosystem freaked out when Heartbleed happened. Okay, so what's going on with Heartbleed? Let's all put down our badges and our business cards and step into the role of consumers, because ultimately we are. We get to wear multiple hats in this regard, but look at it from the consumer standpoint of what happened with Heartbleed. Okay, we're still reeling from the whole, oh my God, what's the government doing bit? And then this thing happened. And consumers start worrying about things like, I know this thing is bad, but how bad is it? And I've got all these sites who are telling me what to do and telling me what they're doing and how they're responding. And I've got steps here, and they're doing this, and I'm supposed to do this, but they say I'm supposed to do these things, and these people over here, and these security vendors, and they're telling me these. So what do I do next? What do I do first? Who do I trust? Where do I go? Okay, we all dealt with it as suppliers. We all dealt with it as e-tail and e-commerce slices of the market. We all dealt with it as consumers too. We all felt this. We also felt this. Am I safe here? And if someone got my password from this site, does that mean they have my password on this site? And what about this site? And what about, Yikes! Trust was seriously on the ropes. because you never knew which site you could trust, and it might be leaking your information to some other site where what do you do? So the opportunities here to project trust, I don't think have been more important. So let's put the badges back on, let's get the business cards back out, and let's look at it kind of from our perspective as e-commerce people. Okay, e-consultancy did this study last year. They looked at all the reasons why people pull the ripcord in the funnel. Very e-commerce focused. I think it's a worldwide survey of e-commerce customers. What are the top 10 reasons why people bail? 9 of the top 10 reasons, obviously you can give multiple answers, that's why it doesn't add up to 100. 9 of the 10 reasons are very e-tail-y focused. I didn't expect these kind of delivery costs. There wasn't enough information about the product. I had problems during checkout. I had difficulty in getting help, customer service. I'd reconsidered and bought something else. All reasons why. Well, all but one. Number 3, goodly 50% of people who pull the ripcord and bail out of the funnel did so because, word for word, I do not trust this website, or I have security concerns. Half the people who go away because of trust. And this doesn't have to do with Snowden. This doesn't have to do with Heartbleed. This has to do with something that's going on your site. Maybe it happened before they even got to your site. But it's fundamental. We got to get on top of this as an industry so that we understand together how to go back to the dream and have fundamental trust among internet users and sites on the internet, but also to solve some business problems here. Okay, one thing that I'm not going to show is we work right down the street from Google. And Google came in, talked to us, and said, you know, thanks to on desktop browsers, tabbed browsing. You can open up multiple tabs. Or on your smartphone, having different panes. The customer who's shopping for something online has 4 tabs or 4 panes open. And they're looking at the same product on 4 different sites. Exactly. They're doing comparison shopping without the need of a comparison shopping engine. They're doing it themselves. So let's say they become one of the 50% who's, I'm out of here. Not only are you losing them off your site, they're already in the competitor's hands. So you got to get on top of this. This is scary stuff. We don't want this to happen, especially if this is your site. So I want to talk about a few things. Where do you start in solving this problem? We have a couple ways of seeing who's leading by example. We're going to talk about how not to blow it. And we're going to wrap up with thinking beyond the funnel. Before, around, and after. Okay, so first, let's talk about some good examples of how people are doing it right. Social media sites, financial sites, banks, email vendors. I specifically kept e-commerce out of this, although it applies here too. There are some good practices surfacing here, ways to project and inspire trust. Okay, getting back to that original dream of fundamental trust on the internet. And you'll see people or sites using things like HTTPS, which in our industry it says you're using SSL, to not just encrypt what's going on between a user and the site that they're visiting, but to use that as a way of demonstrating that this is the site you think it is. This is the legit business. It is a real business. You're safe here. You're cool. It's good to proceed. Off you go. And people really respond to that. So whether they realize it or not, seeing things like a green address bar, seeing things like a warm fuzzy circle check mark that says this is the right place, you're good to go. Seeing every single page in the sequence being protected so that nobody can peer on the conversation. And we've all felt, by the way, applications of this. Okay, so Google has this bright idea about 2 years ago. It says, we're going to go and we're going to protect Google search. Our number one money maker here at Google, we're going to protect search. And suddenly, for all of us who do search engine work, the number one search result was search term not found, because Google started protecting search. What? That was the big revenue stream. But they put trust first. The more the customer trusts the site, the better it's going to be for the business and for that site. That site's going to perform better because customers trust that site. There's a fundamental difference that happens as a result. Okay, and it paid off for them big time. So recently, within the last week of the news, Google also stepped up and went further and said, if you protect your site using HTTPS, that'll uptick you in search rankings. It may not be by much, but it might be enough, for example, to get you from page 2 of search results to page 1, or from position 2 to position 1. It's a small step, but that could really pay off. Trust pays off. Okay, so these are big brands. Doesn't have to be big brands of taking the big step towards fundamental trust. Let's look at some other ones. There's this organization out in the world called the Online Trust Alliance. I highly recommend you go and visit them. Organization of sites, of vendors, of nonprofits, of government organizations that all get together and have the idea of this trusted space on the internet. And every year they give out these things called the Online Trust Honor Roll, or these awards. And this is a group of peers giving to other peers recognition for doing trust right. Trust in its components of security and privacy, domain protection, brand protection, consumer protection, and data protection and transparency. Peers ranking and rating other peers and awarding them for it. Highly recommend you go and check it out, because they publish what these best practices are that they grade upon. And they talk about how good it is for business. What I particularly like is, who on earth is Rock Auto and Jack Threads and Big Fish and Bike Bandit? But they're doing trust just as well as Netflix and Ralph Lauren and Amazon. You don't have to be a big brand to really go all in on trust. It's all there. Highly recommend going out and seeing what Online Trust Alliance is doing to project trust on the internet. Good stuff there. So, this is what leaders are up to, no matter what size those leaders are. I want to talk about the ways to do it wrong. So, let's focus on that 50% and how sometimes we all make people, assuming that this one is our site, go away. First, there's things that we can't control that are going to show up in traditional media and social media. Okay, just news that kind of affects us all or affects us individually. Still, that has an impact on trust of your organization, of your site, of your operations. That means money and business to us. Number 3, though, is a poor showing in search results. There's things that we can help you with at Symantec, obviously. We're happy to talk with you back at the booth. Obviously, I mentioned Google's doing some work there. If you protect your site with SSL, they're going to give you a little boost in search rankings as a result. But having a poor showing in search results, if you notice the common thread here, people aren't even on your site yet. And they may already be not going there or clicking away and going to one of these other 3. Number 4 and number 5 kind of go together, how to blow it with trust and creating mistrust, and that is being blacklisted or blocked for malware or being a suspected phishing site. Now this one hurts. I have to go over here and I have to read the words to you, because I love this little warning here that you get on screen sometime if Google or Chrome or whoever doesn't know if this is really the site you should be going to. The website at cryptic address has been reported as a phishing site. In other words, somebody reported it somewhere, not in your control. It's not you saying, yeah, no, we're not that. Somebody somewhere reported it, or something reported it. And the browser, or the search engine, is taking the initiative of just blocking people before they even get to your site. Ah, okay, so let's continue with the language here. They give you 4 choices. One is go back, highlighted in a nice, warm, friendly green button. Learn more about phishing scams, implying that your site might be a scam. Third, report an error, because we really want to know that your site has errors. Or third, and I love the language, if you feel you understand the risks, you may proceed anyway. So good luck with that. Like, nobody wants a piece of that. The problem is you're not fully in control of that. Or are you? You might be. But again, these are all before they even gotten to your site. Let's say that everything's working out and people end up on your site. That's great. So here's 5 ways we all blow when people get to your site. What's there? Browser security warnings. And these are always nice and friendly for users when they have no idea what these things actually mean. Let's say you forgot to renew your SSL certificate, or some file isn't installed correctly, and users get this cryptic error message, and guess what their behavior is? Click. They're gone from your site and they're in their competitor's hands right away. Ouch. Or, I admit that I've done this. You got a new product. You've just rebranded. You just got acquired. You just acquired someone. You're real excited about some page redesign. Push the page. Push the site. Push the second. We got to get this thing out. Come on, business. Time is money. Let's get this site live. Come push. Forget QA. Just get the site live. We got to make money here. And we end up doing things like misspellings, dumb mistakes like poor punctuation. Okay? Errors that embarrassing. That really happened. And then stop and think what users have been taught over the years to look for and spot a phishing site or a scam or other places which might pump malware to their system. They're looking for misspellings and dumb mistakes like poor punctuation, which you just blown through and trying to get that site live. You might have just shot yourself in the head, and suddenly we're going back in a slide here, and you get that pop-up box of you can proceed anyway. We all do this. Ouch, that hurts. Okay, so moving on from that, another one of my favorite is the mixed content warning. This is where you actually take the idea and you say, let's protect some of this content and have this one-to-one experience between user and site. But I forgot to encrypt this other stuff too. So I'm sending you some content that is protected and some content that's not, and the browser freaks out and pops up this error message, which, and I work in this industry, I have a hard time deciding what to do. You want to view only the web page that content was delivered securely, yes or no? Your choice here effectively is get everything and we can't guarantee it's safe. Or get only the safe stuff, but you can't be sure about the rest of it and what you're not getting. So everything but not safe, or some things but not everything. But some of them might, what's the right choice? The choice that customers make? Click. They're out of there. And in the competition's hands. Ouch. Okay, so I said top 10 ways to blow it and create mistrust. Number 9 and number 10 don't have the pretty pictures. It's pretty straightforward. You didn't show them. You didn't demonstrate it. You didn't project trust. Take the steps that actually show this is the right place. You're safe here. You're good to proceed. We're a legitimate business. We're going to take care of you. Moreover, you didn't explain it to them. You gave no opportunity to tell them why they're safe. You probably hid your privacy notice or your security standards or whatever you want to say about how trustable your site is in some repository somewhere or some privacy notice section where if someone had the guts to click on it, they're going to be presented with this 10-page long thing written by lawyers for lawyers, and no consumer is going to want to read that. What is this stuff? Really? That's not telling people why they're safe. That's telling people why they can't sue you. No. Go look at a site like PayPal. They do a great job of telling people why they're safe. This is the real site. Tell them why. Show them why. There's actually a reason, number 11 here. And I want to bring this down to each and every one of us has a role. You make the choice here of what the trusted internet is. A trusted experience for consumers. You do. It's not somebody else's problem. We're all in this together, and we're in this together as individuals. So, I highly recommend that if you look on your seat or on your table, you find this guy, and on this side that says Trust Drive Conversions, there's a handy little checklist that you can just go through right now, or when you take it back home, and you can say, do we do these different things, which attack all those stuff that we've been looking at right now, but help you think of ways to project and inspire trust on your site. So go through and check the little circles. If you want to talk about each one of these, come on back to the booth. We'd be happy to talk about these and serve an advisory role, but I believe we are all in this together, and here's your checklist of how to go and start accomplishing this. Good little reminders for that. Okay, so I promised that we're going to talk about who's doing it right, why and how we do it wrong. I want to talk about the last one and bring us home here, and that is to think beyond the funnel. Okay, so I've already established that mistrust and blowing it is going to cause people to pull the ripcord, and they're already in the clutches of your competitors. Okay, it's something you just don't do that. Let's just stop doing that. Moreover, though, let's think about what happens before they get there. Top 10 reasons, 5 of them are before they even get to your site. And when they get there, are there things around the whole process that gets to that magical moment of truth that you can affect? And you can also show or tell a story after that exchange of money for goods and services, or exchange of their personal information for goods and services. Okay, I want to dive into that a little. So we look at the top 3 concerns that online shoppers have, and they really clump into 3 areas: security, reliability, and price. Security, more information security is my information good, is my personal identifiable information, my credit card number, some form of my identity safe here. The sense of reliability, this is more about merchant reliability. Is the product going to be authentic? Is it going to arrive on time? If there is a problem, is there a customer service number? Is it going to be easy to get in touch with? Is they going to be jerks? Are they going to handle is things going to be good here? We have a good, warm, fuzzy, nice experience. And then last but not least, on price, I'm getting the best deal, right? You don't have some other page that's got a lower price. This is the best price, right? And if the price changes, am I going to be made whole? Okay, to factualize this, FTC says 64% of identity theft originates online. VeriSign says 83% of online users worry about their identity being stolen during an online purchase. 83%, this is on people's minds. Trust is on their minds. You want to do all you can here to project security and trust. But also in other components on reliability. Our competitors, McAfee, 92% of shoppers have concerns when shopping on new and unknown sites. And this is, wait a minute, new site? Well, we're an established brand. Really? When you relaunched that page, it became a new site. When you did your rebrand, it became a new site to the consumer, not to you. So suddenly you fall into the category. 92% of shoppers are worried. National Consumer League, 61% of all complaints that go to the National Consumers League are for merchant non-performance. The merchant did not perform up to customer expectations. Maybe they did to the merchant's expectations in that long legal thing where they said, here's what our lawyer says about it, but not in the consumer's mind. And finally on price, biz rate. Biz rate comes up and says 45% of shoppers view price as the most important thing. All things being equal, well, no, Sherlock. They've got 4 sites open and it's the same product and they're comparing price. They're obviously comparing some other things too, but price is pretty important. So let's look at the solutions that are out there that take care of some of these things. In the security space, we're all familiar with seals. We've got our circle check mark from our Norton brand. People know and love, see in 170 countries and millions of times a day. People get it. There's obviously others in the world, some competitors, some allies in the space. In the reliability area, there's also a whole nother batch of logos. Some you have to sign on to specific e-commerce solutions to take advantage of, which might limit you out of others. And then for price, there's pretty much no solutions there whatsoever, except ones that you offer directly. And how does the consumer know to trust you and that you're going to keep your word? Because then it suddenly becomes a reliability question. Making things a little more complex, there's actually 2 aspects of this. Preventing these things from happening, bad things from happening, and then resolving them. And you divide it that way, and suddenly the solutions picture doesn't look so rosy. There's nothing for you in resolving security issues. Or is there? And that price one's looking pretty bleak. So obviously the presence of something in the lower left-hand corner should have ticked you off. And this is what I promise is going to be the brief sales pitch. Come on by the booth because we want to talk to you about something new that we have that is extending our brand to cover these missing areas here in the idea of preventing and resolving problems with reliability, price, security issues, and what have you, called Norton Shopping Guarantee. Really neat service, but addressing something that on one hand, it's not a good solution picture. On the other hand, with all these logos, your site starts to look like a NASCAR vehicle with logos plastered everywhere. You kind of don't want that. Okay, so we could offer you a brand that is known for trust on the web. Okay, that said, there we go. It is really all about trust. Okay, sorry for the quick product pitch, but we're serious about this. There's money to be made, but there's also customers to be lost. And you can't lose them into competitors' hands right away. So, obviously, mistrust is going to eject people straight out of your funnel and right into the willing and waiting clutches of competing sites they're already on. So, consider the whole trust experience before they even get to your site. But also everything that's going on in their experience on your site. How you project and inspire trust. Not just driving people to that magic moment where they hand you their money or their information, but everything around it where you show them and you tell them why this is the real site, why they're safe here. And no matter what the prevailing winds are out there, whether it's the next heartbleed or the next heart attack over Snowden, NSA, whatever, that you can be the beacon of trust and you can get on that Online Trust Alliance honor roll of being a very trusted site. That's where we want you to be. That's where we should all be together. So please, pardon the voice crack there, handy checklist. Please go through just some basic things there and you'll recognize some of them from the presentation. Would love to talk with you more about it at the booth 11. And that is my final slide. So with 5 minutes to go, have we any questions in the glare of the lights? All right, we got a question.
Do you have any data on how the trust issue varies by market segment? The millennials, Gen Y, Gen X, and boomers. The 50% number was a summary number as the number 3 issue. I'm just curious if you know what it is across segments.
Right, we do know that it varies. So you're going to have multiple answers here. It does vary by geography, obviously, and by vertical, by product or service being offered. That information is out there. That's one source of variability. So the answer is yes, it does exist. I can't quote them off the top of my head. You kind of got to take a grain of salt with it because there's going to be multiple sources for that information, and sometimes the information does conflict. So I'm a big believer in go with the big number and then see how it goes into individuals rather than go straight for that because there's more of context that comes around it. Yes, that information does exist. Come on back to the booth. We could probably talk about it there. Thank you.